Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Wednesday in a Riv.
Yes, it
And
is.
we got some stuff to talk about. I'm looking at something right now. But city lost another employee. Uh, I guess uh, Cedric, the assistant, I think to Emily over there, has gotten a job in another city, and wish him a lot of luck. He was their representative to the retirement board, and today was his last meeting. So I guess he's moving on. Nobody can deal with it over here. It's just too much of a
Cluster.
yeah. It's a horror show, and
Yeah, it's cluster.
we saw on the last council meeting that what a mess it is. We can't get you've got the interim city administrator and Emily disagreeing on numbers. That shouldn't happen, and neither should an argument between a person who puts in citizens input and the chairman. I mean, as a chair off, as the chair, as the president, as the president and chair officer at a meeting, it's your job to keep decorum, not to argue with people. And even though you'd say, "Well,
The
I got the
sad
right,"
part, the
huh?
sad part was the chair acknowledged what he was doing and said, as long as my name is mentioned, I'm going to defend myself.
Yeah. Well,
Get a thick skin. You've been in politics for 30 years. You know better.
yeah. Look, and I understand I understand the you know the motivation to try to defend yourself. But as you said, you're in politics, so when you're on, when you do things like we do, you expect criticism. And even if you go to citizens input and they don't like what you say, people will make comments virtually afterwards. And but that's not the job of the chair. You know that, CJ. I don't have to.
Right.
I'm being rhetorical, but you know that the chair is supposed to say, uh, you're out of order, and you want to deal with personal issues, you can see me after the meeting, but otherwise I'll have you removed. And and because it's you can't stop the meeting and defend yourself uh, with every single person there. Suppose there was more than one. It's not the job of the chair. But no, you're right, Steve. I mean, he's not very good at handling. Um,
Any criticism.
Yeah, or even any kind of input that is not uh, in his, that he doesn't agree with. He gets a little upset. He tries to narrow debate, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. But then again, well, I mean, a lot of these far left wing people, uh, they don't believe in any debate. They think that anybody who disagrees with them should be eliminated, and they even advocate the killing. They were celebrating when Trump was gone for 2 days, and we still have some of them celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I can't believe that, what was it, 60 of them voted against the condemnation of people doing that. And they said, oh, well, he was spreading hate speech. Well, anything that they don't agree with, they classify as hate speech. Them calling people all kinds of names is not hate speech. But uh, I, frankly, I didn't watch a lot of Charlie Kirk, but I did watch some of his stuff. I watched him debate, and he was an advocate for his own opinion, and he he would actually invite people who disagree with him to come to the mic, uh, and he didn't berate them or try to belittle them. He tried to basically debate them and support his opinion. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he is. He is a disgrace as a chair officer. I can tell you, he has done so many. I mean, he stifled me once. That's the only time in all of, and I presented before the council numerous times. And when they eliminated the fifth member and Coogan circumvented the law, and I interrupted, and I got down there to speak, he wouldn't let me clarify why what they were saying was not in context. He got very upset and basically suppressed the debate. You can't talk about, I'm not going to let you. Well, I do have a right, the constitutional right, to say anything I want. But we should have been there. The whole thing was a setup. The two elected members of the retirement board were not allowed to be up at that podium. They had the director who works for us up there. And he had to go up because he was told he had to be there to answer questions. And he asked general questions, and he couldn't get into the what happened. And this is outrageous. It was just absolutely outrageous. And he. But then again, I guess we have to put things in context. I guess that he's like Gandhi compared to the school department, because if you look at the school department, they don't want debate, period. They've just come out and said that.
They have.
I mean, they don't even, they basically said, shut up.
It's not on our agenda. We don't talk about it.
We don't, yeah, you don't have a right. You don't have a right to say anything, And, well, the question I have is why not? It's right. Citizens' input, and you're a citizen. And if it's germane to the school department, why don't you have a right? They've already been censured.
Somebody brought up something very important today that when I was talking about last night's meeting, in that Jordan was given 3 minutes, then they gave him 3 more minutes, then they gave him 2 minutes. Okay? Why don't they just do away with the 3-minute bullshit? Make it 5 minutes of citizens' input time. No extensions. You have 5 minutes to get together. Nobody wanted to hear about Jordan's children. Nobody wanted to reminisce about 10 years ago. My son was here when he was 2 years old, and I'm right back here. And get to the point of what you wanted to make. He got 3 minutes, didn't make a point. Got 3 more minutes, still didn't make a point. Got a couple of more minutes and was trying to make a point, but was cut off because he ran out of time. Make your 5 minutes, and that's it.
Well, look, I have never been an advocate for a very abbreviated citizens' input. I mean, you can't let people ramble on for hours, but I mean, it should be allowed to make a valid point, and it should be at least 5 minutes, and with an automatic extension for a minute or two, and then get a waiver, because and I know, and everybody that's ever watched the council meeting, that if you're the wrong person, you're not getting extra time. They're going to shut you down as soon as they can. But if they like you, even if what used to really upset me, and Steve was right. But it's a. Well, Brad Kilby sticks his nose into anything that when it comes to defending somebody who's on the team, as Paul Coogan said. I'm using Paul Coogan's words. You got to be on the team. You got to be a Democrat because this is a Democratic state. If you want anything, you have to be one of us. If you're not one of us, you don't get anything. Uh, yeah. This is the problem. The problem you have is that Brad Kilby has, I don't think Brad Kilby has contributed really anything of note except kissing, obviously being a kiss ass for the mayor, and we know why. He's got the
He's got aspirations to the housing authority.
he's going to get a job in a housing authority. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Raymond. Here he is, right here. I've got my Brad Kilby doll, and this is my Paul Hart doll. That doll. They both should go. Listen, you can agree with the mayor sometimes. It's not the job. This is the problem. I've always had an issue. With this idea that the council has to agree with the mayor. That's not the way the government's supposed to work. The council is supposed to be a check and balance. If the mayor proposes something that's in the best interest of the citizens of Fall River, if the mayor is spending our money wisely, yeah, so you support it. But if he isn't, you're supposed to not support it. That's your job. It is not to sing kumbaya and hug each other. And well, Brad used to be a teacher, Patrick. I see Patrick's comment about that. Well, I don't know if we can. I'm reading Jeff's comment. I don't know if we can prove it, but there was allegations to that effect. And
There's been allegations about a lot of that.
a
Well,
lot of there's been allegations, but this is the problem. I mean, the thing that is baffling is that we have a Supreme Court decision in this state that clearly says we have the right to say anything in front of the council. I mean, with the exception of obviously like threatening their life. They can threaten our lives if they're Democrats, but that's okay because that's just that's their right. And I think that all the things that have happened recently, and watching that Charlie Kirk Memorial showed the difference about people who truly, believe that you can debate. And what did they do? If you don't give the Democrats their way, they burn a city down, their own city, burn businesses down.
burn, baby, burn.
I mean, there were over 500 riots in the Summer of Love, and they fixate on January 6th, but there were 500 riots, and they did absolutely nothing. But that's okay for them. But look what they did at that memorial. They prayed, they sang, they celebrated Charlie Kirk's life. There were no riots. They didn't burn down anything. And they showed they showed their respect for a person that they cared a lot about. And what disturbs me is that the Democrats, a small majority, not all of them, but a lot of them didn't say anything. But when they don't even vote to condemn assassinations and they disrespect somebody, they lie, calling him a racist, and then they manipulate the narrative, and most of these people are so dumb they believe anything they're told. I saw a stat, CJ, that only 10% of Democrats believe that the Charlie Kirk's assassin was a liberal.
Yep.
How can that be? I mean, I can tell you how. There's a rhetorical question. The media. They brainwash them. They bring in all the Democrats who lie. Then you have people like Jimmy Kimmel saying he was one of them. Does one of them? Somebody make sense. Make some sense to me. Does somebody who is a MAGA Republican shoot one of the premier MAGA Republicans, a guy that brought more young vote to the Republican Party than anybody in history, and carve on the bullet casing, "Catch this fascist"? I mean, it's absurd. His own parents knew that because his parents were Republicans. They said, "Oh, he's one of them." No, he's not. He was a trans activist, and not and then the absurdity of how they can just try to deflect the story. Then the one that really got me, I don't know, CNN or MSNBC, the Democrat, MSNBC, but when the guy tried to turn it into like a story of a star-crossed lover, not a guy that had political hatred for Kirk. Oh, it was because his lover was transitioning, and he killed Charlie Kirk to protect his lover. That is like, wow. You gotta really be one convoluted SOB to go there. They turned it into Romeo and Juliet. I mean, it's crazy. You wonder why we can't move forward. It's because we keep governments like this in power. We vote these people back into office, and we got an election in November. Let's hear from these candidates about doing something for the people of Fall River. I drive around the city again, all the time, and I see what a mess it is. And then I drive around the areas that, and they're even. Oh, by the way, I have to digress because I just thought of it. It's in the other room. They're advertising for the tea now.
Yes.
I got a card saying it's $10 on weekends. Ride the tea.
Yes. All you can ride for $10.
They're so desperate because they can't get anybody. We said it was going to be a flop. It's going to be a flop. And I heard today from one of our viewers, so I can't confirm it, but Carol Fiola is on the radio telling everybody they're panicking about the election. She's got to get her boy Paul back in office. She's saying everybody phone in for a mail-in ballot. She wants everybody to call in for mail-in ballots. So, because I think they were truly rattled by the fact that a three-term incumbent couldn't get more than 50% in even a pathetically small primary election. That is a symbol that people are not, they're tired of Paul Coogan because he got his supporters out and he couldn't get 50%. Granted, he was close, but I mean, it should have been like with the campaign field we had and no real political machine running against him that had been campaigning long term. He should have won. I mean, when Flanagan got into his third term, he got in there by almost, I think, 75%. It was over 70%, I think, but it was definitely 70. But I think it was more like closer to 75%. And during the primary, it was even higher than that, I believe. So it's a sign, but the sign's not going to do any good if 6,000 people turn out for the final election. He'll win again. He'll win again because he'll have the majority of the votes, unless every single person who showed up in a primary votes against him, which some of them will not. Hopefully they will, but.
While we're now back on local politics, which I think we need to really be focusing on over the next few weeks because an election is coming up, and you brought up the interim city administrator. Last night he looked real haggard. He was tired. You could see it in his face. You could see it. And from what I was told by a city councilor, he was asked by Joe Camara after the city council meeting, how do you like your job so far? And he says he hated it. I received a message from the city administrator. Hope all is well. I want to clarify a couple of things because I heard concerns about me doing two positions. One, I am not fully paid by HUD. The city is paying half my salary and benefits, and HUD is paying the other half. HUD only pays me for hours worked on HUD programs. I do fill out a timesheet that is approved by the HUD assistant director. I did not take a raise for either position. I am not making any more money. I am doing the city administrator job for free. I have worked 57 hours of my own time, staying late at night and Saturdays and Sundays at $0. I have not received any funds for these extra hours. Doing two jobs is very stressful and would not be able to do this for very long. I am glad that my appointment to city administrator is up on November 11th. Thanks, Mike. He wanted that to be known.
Well, first of all, I'm going to disagree with you. That's not politics. That's city business. Politics is when the candidates are here, and I'm getting more and more disinterested because the politicians aren't telling me what the hell they're going to do.
Well, I'll tell you.
Therein lies the problem. That's why they got to come on this show. They got to be invited to this show, and they got to start talking about it. And as far as Mike Dion is concerned, I don't care if he doesn't get paid, and I don't care about his motivation. Okay, the fact is that those questions are valid. We have a revolving door with the city administration.
I know we do.
I don't care about that shit because that's the mayor's problem.
Right.
He can't keep help.
But here's the other problem I'm having. Okay, I had several phone calls this morning. Several. As I had mentioned on a previous show, Gabriel Amaral had posted about the Central Park proposition that Linda Pereira and Roxanne Longstone is working with him on. Now, according to my phone calls today, Roxanne Longstone is making phone calls to people on Boomer's behalf and Linda under Linda's name or with Linda's name. And Boomer or Gabriel Amaral, I don't know what to call him, said at last night's city council meeting that he supports Talos, the veteran service officer. Well, if you support the veteran service officer, Mr. Amaral, why the fuck are you aligning yourself with Linda Pereira, who's harassing him and trying to drive him out of office? Cliff Ponte even asked, where's the investigation? No investigation is going to be done until such time as the election is over. They don't want to rock the boat. But Linda better be careful because she's always said she can do anything she wants in city government because she goes to the mayor and demands it and she gets it because the mayor likes her. Well, now that you're working for the enemy, Linda, you may not get that privilege anymore.
Well,
you should not be trying to get elected based upon who you align yourself with in politics. You should be getting elected on your plan for the people of Fall River. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, number one, it's, the idea is buffoonish. I know Mrs. Longstone's husband very well. I knew him as a child. His mother was a very close friend of my mother's. As a matter of fact, I am the godfather of her husband's sister. I don't know her. And I don't know what the problem with Central, or changing the name of something is like putting lipstick on a pig.
Thank you.
That's what it is. It's putting lipstick on a pig, and that's not really good lipstick. It's not unbecoming. We're going to take the name of a president of the United States who was assassinated in office over to name it after something that people romanticize about. Central Park is not a wonderful place in New York. There have been more murders, rapes, and muggings in Central Park than most people can imagine. They always have to have a high police presence in the area. And number one, that name is always going to be affiliated with New York City. I mean, I don't know what the motivation is. I don't care, but we have more important things to do. We have the fact that people have had their city budget doubled.
With nothing to show for it.
With absolutely nothing to show for it. That we have issues with our streets, issues with crime, issues with, we go over them at every show. This is why I'm so irritated. I want to hear something from these councilors. It's crickets. The primary is over. Where are these people? Where's the forum? Where are they going to tell the people how they're going to turn this city around?
They all posted.
We're hearing about cohogs, renaming parks, and everything except the fact that the quality of life of the average citizens in Fall River has deteriorated drastically in the 6 years of the Coogan administration, with absolutely nothing done. 87, $88 million in opera funds pissed in a hole. Our budget doubled, mostly with pay raises. Police department, understaffed. Fire department, understaffed. Deflections, lack of transparency, which, by the way, was a campaign platform of Coogan when he first ran for mayor. I will be transparent and I will obey the law. He has done neither. These are issues, and look at the numbers. You want to look at things. You want to look at Central Park. Look at the fact that we don't know how many lawsuits. They refuse to tell us how many lawsuits we have, how much money we've paid in lawsuits, how much each person pays for Durfee, even though we weren't supposed to be paying anything for Durfee, by the way, according to Paul Coogan before he became mayor, when he was the advocate saying it would disappear. These are real issues. Look at the numbers. I always use the U.S. Census Bureau. Go look at the per capita income in the city of Fall River, 31,998 or something. 31,000, under 32, barely, but close to 32. 10 years ago, it was like 28. Well, what does that mean? It means it's actually gone down, because with the higher end going up and them going up a little bit, it really is stagnated. I mean, $31,000 a year for an average per capita income. That's abysmal. That's like Appalachia, or whatever they want to call it down in West Virginia. And these are issues, and you want to get people to come out, you got to get there and talk to them about how you're going to stop this bleeding.
You got to piss them off,
because we need to put a tourniquet on this stuff, because this city is heading right down the path to receivership. And when he's gone, Coogan's not going to care. They're all going to bail out. I mean, they're all going to get their hat and their carpet bag, take their money, and leave the city, and leave us with the tax rates that they leave us with everything. I mean, how can you justify a 90% increase in the budget when you look at what have we got? Have we got more firefighters? No. Have we got more police officers? No. Have your streets been paved? Well, the answer is yes if you're one of his developer friends, because it's seemingly they're at the top of the pave the streets list. Do you have $7 million lights on your street? You talk about parks, renaming them? Do we have $7 million lights at Lafayette Park? Do we have $7 million benches at Lafayette Park? No. But the developers do, because we want to make that place a show place. But nobody rides the thing, mostly out-of-towners, and it's going to be a disaster. We predicted it. It's going to happen. The T, we don't hear a lot about the T down here. All we hear about is that we should ride it. But the thing is still a financial disaster. And it will begin to cut services ultimately. Right now, they're keeping it together by giving them taxpayer money and doing everything they can, but it's irreversible. This is what the city is, and I'm really getting irritated with the fact that I don't hear anything from these candidates. So we're going to reach out to some of them and see if we can get them on the show. That's correct. And I can throw a rock and almost hit Lafayette Park. And I spent a lot of time in Lafayette Park when I was younger, even playing baseball in a little league. The field wasn't where it is now, where the school is now. And the National Little League was at Lafayette Park for a while, and so was the Babe Ruth League. And Sneaker McDonald, a legend in this city for youth, talk about youth programs. The guy that put together the Babe Ruth League and was a great guy.
They got a statue up for him and his wife at the park.
Retired police officer, and he lived at the top of the street I live on. Him and a police officer, and Bill Wrightington, another retired police officer. But there's a guy that contributed to the city, and you can. They changed the name of South Park once to Kennedy Park. It didn't change anything about the park. They named it after somebody. And I don't know, maybe just it's me. Maybe people want to try to pretend to be New York. I don't want to be a city that's so convoluted. They're looking at electing a communist. But that's their prerogative. But I can tell you one thing. I've seen Lafayette Park since I was a child, and not much has changed there. There's no bubbler. There used to be bubblers in Fall River, and that's a term that we use in southeastern Mass and Rhode Island. Most people don't know what you're talking about, but it's
a water fountain to everyone else.
Water fountain, yeah, bubbler, and but see, these are the things. We've done all this before. There's no secret here. The secret to bringing Fall River back is bringing its economy back, bringing small businesses in, not just developers who are going to build buildings that people in Fall River can't afford, and we have to import people from the War College and maybe illegals to get in there.
What gets me is the Herald News has an article about Tony Cordero, the bastion of TIFs, okay? And he says that he's developing high-end properties with high-end amenities to draw people to Fall River to spend money.
Yeah. Well, where?
Where can they spend money?
Yeah.
You go downtown, you got vacant buildings, graffiti. Oh, they cleaned up some graffiti on Pearl Street. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, it's wonderful. They cleaned it up.
Yeah.
They'll be back there tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, he can try to, he can try.
And he's doing so well because he's allowing pets in his properties.
Yeah,
Ooh, magnanimous offer. Come
yeah,
rent my apartment. We allow pets.
yeah. Well, he's probably a Democrat
No
because
kidding.
he's delusionary because number one, he's building high-end properties with wonderful amenities. Well, you don't think rich people who could afford those rents, can move somewhere else that have actually stores they can shop in, have a police force that's at full complement, a fire department that's at full complement, have uh, numerous other amenities that we don't have in the city of Fall River. You're full of crap. And I can tell you right now about Cadero. If he didn't have the War College down in his place on Duval Street, he'd be putting that thing up for sale
Yeah.
because he wouldn't. That place would not be filled. Amenities be damned. That's
And you know the
BS.
killer is this.
Listen, they want to make everybody like they're modest to the city. He's making a profit and a huge profit on this stuff. The War College is a federal agency. They get paid by the federal government. They can pay any kind of rent they want. When Maura Healey sticks illegals in places and pays their rent, rent isn't an issue because
Right.
the government doesn't care how they spend our money. And that's the biggest crock of shit in the world. Listen, everybody knows there's been 10 million studies done. People move when rich people relocate. The first thing they look at, if they're younger, is schools to educate their children. We have one of the most underperforming school systems in the state. We're in the bottom.
Bottom 10%.
And the other thing they look at, regardless of their age, is crime.
That's right.
So you think that somebody can afford amenities? You're going to entice them with amenities? What do they care? They're going to walk out of the front door on Pleasant Street and trip over some homeless guy or somebody that's stoned. You think this is the environment they come from? All the Newtonians and the people from Wellesley and Natick and all the other small towns that surround Newton. You think they're all rushing down to Fall River?
Well, according to Paul, they're all coming here because the rents are so low.
Oh, yeah. Like they really got to worry about the rents. Has he ever looked at the average? Let's look at the average per capita income of Natick, Wellesley, Newton. Well, we know what it is in Newton. It's nearly $100,000.
Well, think about it. If they
it's
work
3.5 times bigger.
If they work in Boston, okay, or in Newton, or in Wellesley, or in Acton, or wherever it may be, why would you want to move 60 miles away from your job to hop on the T down here to get to your job? A T that may not be here. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. You're 100% right.
That makes no sense.
I don't know if any of these people have ever been there, but I've been to that area. Actually, I have some very good friends who live in Wellesley, Newton area because the friend of our families was the head of the grounds at Wellesley College, which is a very prestigious girls' school. But okay, let's see. The median household income in Wellesley is $244,874, which is 59.2% greater than the median annual income of $99,000 across the entire state of Massachusetts. Let's remember that figure I just read. $99,858 is the average median income across the state of Massachusetts. What is Fall River's average median income? $53,000 for a family per capita is $31,000. You think people that have this income level are going to move to Fall River because they need affordable rent? These people are so full of shit, it's incredible. The council won't tell you this, but we will. I know how to read numbers. I know how to analyze numbers. Look at these cities. Get on the U.S. Census Bureau. Get on one of these other data and mine some data. Do you realize that in most of these cities, they average over 70% of single-family houses? You think there's a zillion of these people looking for apartments that live in these places that you want to talk about? Yeah, Boston's got a lot of apartments because it's an inner city. But people in Boston, this is one of the most expensive places to live. They've already migrated out, and they haven't migrated to Fall River. You believe somebody from Wellesley, Massachusetts, that's totally rural, you go out, the streets are like you're in the country. But they're going to tell you, feed you that line of crap. The border's closed. There's no inflation. And people are coming to Fall River because we got lower rents. Really? If you can afford rent anywhere in Massachusetts, you're going to pick Fall River because Tony Cordero gave you amenities on Bedford Street. If you brought somebody from Wellesley down here and walked them down Bedford Street and say, do you want to live here? They better be wearing a pamper because they'd shit their pants laughing.
And a flak jacket.
These people are just they're shameless with their marketing. They told you the tea was going to fix the city. Did we forget that already? CJ, am I correct? Didn't they tell us when the tea comes in, this is going to turn Fall River into Valhalla? It's going to be heaven. It's going to
turn us around. It was going to increase tourism, economic development. It was going to do all of that. How many people ride the train? One. And that's only somebody who has a special reason to be here.
Listen, that's one thing they're good at is lying. And Paul is the premier. He is the premier pathological prevaricator. Paul. That's what he is. Because these people love you to sell you a bill of goods. That the shooter was MAGA, the border's closed, and people are going to run down. You can't pay attention. Look at reality. Liars can figure. Figures don't lie, but liars can figure. They're selling you a bill of goods. We think there's zillions of people. They're flying out of Boston. Yeah, they're flying out of Boston to Florida.
I was going to say.
to Tennessee, to the Carolinas, even to Maine. Do you know that southern Maine now? I looked at basically a map of the political structure of Maine. They turned Maine from a red state to fundamentally a purple state leaning to blue. Why? Because everything south of Portland, Maine has become virtually 90% Democrat. All the rich yuppies moved to rural Maine, southern Maine. If you look at beyond north of Portland, Maine, it's like 99% Republican. But they can't outvote southern Maine. It's the most heavily populated area of Maine now. They didn't come to Fall River. Why did it come? They didn't know about Tony's amenities. Of course, that's the reason. It's just a lack of marketing, Tony. Spend some money on marketing. No, you don't have to. You got the War College sending people down. You'll have South Coast rent your properties because you're in, and people on the board there. All the rich people take care of each other. They'll take care of you. Don't worry, Tony. But keep bullshitting the public. Tell the people that you're going to offer these things and you're going to get primo rents. I mean, you're that's so Pollyannish. It's ridiculous. It's like it must be difficult breathing with your head that far up your derriere. I mean, how you can sell that to anybody but a dummy Democrat is beyond me. I mean, look at the numbers. I mean, the last time I checked, Newton was 75% single family homes. And I think Wellesley and the rest of them are probably even higher because they're really rural.
The sad part about it is you have people like Maura Healey, Paul Coogan, Ken Douchebag Viola, all saying that the making of these apartments is going to improve the quality of life in Fall River. How?
Yeah, for who?
How? For who? Because it's not improving my quality of life. The homeless aren't getting any of these apartments. And Ken Viola made it clear. The bottom line is every apartment must make $350 per square foot. That's a lot of money. $350 per square foot. That's a lot of money.
Well, all I can say is that I know that the per capita income is like 31,000. If your rent's at 2,000 or between 1,500 and 2,000, it means it's going to be up to $24,000 a year. So and remember, that's a gross income, the median income. That's not a net income. So if you subtract 24,000 from 31,000, you got $7,000 to live for the year. Pay all your bills, pay your car insurance. That is ridiculous. These people can't do basic mathematics. Yeah, you're right, Alphonse. He does. Yeah, he knows Fiola Onyx. That's give me everything cheap. I'll give it to all my friends, and I'm going to charge them to process their claims. And remember the pot place that the guy showed up at the city council meeting and went absolutely scorched earth on the city?
Yes, I remember that very clearly.
About them,
and they showed up with an attorney
trying to strong arm these people into paying an exorbitant fee to them. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, and the thing is that's another great point, Jeff. You're going to move to Fall River to commute back farther to your job. Yeah, I can see people moving to Newton. Newton's a short commute to Boston. There is a valid use for the T in Newton and the surrounding areas in the metropolitan Boston area. You don't have to fight the Boston traffic. I know a lot of people that work in Boston. I mean, my friend, the attorney, he had his office in Boston for many, 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 many years. He used to live in Swampscott. And he used to commute into to Boston from Swampscott. It's a short commute. Yeah, they flee like in Washington, D.C., where 90% of the government workers don't live in District of Columbia because of the crime. They lived in Maryland, Virginia. Yeah, but so you made a great point earlier, CJ. So they're telling you that, number one, they're going to look for affordable rent, which is BS because they're making mega money. We just looked at what they make in Wellesley. It's like almost $250,000 is the median income. $250,000. Hey, 50,000 is the high for a family. I mean, do the math, people.
But
you think people can't afford rent anywhere they want to go? Jesus.
Right, and they not only try to sell this line of bullshit to the people, especially with the TIFs. You don't understand how the TIFs work. The TIFs give an exemption on the improvement to the property, not on the value of the property. Yeah, well, the properties are valued at between $5,000 and $10,000, and that's what they pay taxes on, not the $3.7 million that they dumped into the building, or the $15 million, or the $16 million. And then they say, oh, within 5 years, they're paying 80% of the tax on that.
It's still not 100.
That's still not 100%. And I'm still paying their share.
And we're paying.
And I'm not
I'm
getting
paying
anything for it.
100% on my house, CG. I don't know
Right, and
about
I'm
you.
not getting anything for it. But that was something that I think Gabe Amaral missed when he was talking about how he was going to bring rents down. Because he said he was going to give tax incentives to property owners, which will in turn result in lower rents. Number one, you need an act of the state legislature to do that.
And you'll never get it through.
And you'll never get that. And number two, what is to possess a landlord to say, well, I'm saving $2,000 a year on my taxes, so I'll deduct it from the rents? They're not going to say that. They're going to say everyone else is collecting it, so am I.
Capitalism.
That's right. It's capitalism. That's the way the system works. When you have an influx of people and not enough apartments, the rents go up. When you have too many apartments, the rents go down. Supply and demand. Am I wrong? Am I an idiot?
In this case, it won't. It'll be. It's you have to put in the Detroit factor. Nobody wants to live in Detroit.
Right.
No matter what they did, no matter how many vacant apartments they had, and if they were trying to sell a house for $1, they couldn't.
Right. I remember that.
They couldn't. People like to use the economic thing. Oh, you're supplying them, and no. These people are developing these properties to get high rents. If they don't get high rents, they're just going to close shop because these people are multi-millionaires, if not billionaires. They've got conglomerates that have got billionaires. They did a big article. They did a big article about that company that was moving down here that's got a bunch of people all to the South Coast and the Cape to develop these things. And they're looking at, and like I said, I'm still a firm believer that Healy is subsidizing this in cities like Fall River and New Bedford by putting illegals in here, in some of those properties.
Right.
We know that they get people from the War College and stuff. Listen, it's not as simple as if we got a lot of rent, they're going to come down. If they're not making money and they're not making big money, it's happened before in Fall. Like I said, where Stop and Shop is on Rodman Street used to be quote unquote market rate housing. They didn't use the terminology in those days. And there were blocks and blocks of empty apartments down there because the developers just gave up and said, screw it. And they burnt them all down. I know.
And what happens when you try to do something over and over again with the same results?
That's Goebbels and Hitler. If you tell a big enough lie often enough, people will be good, but will believe it. But all I believe is that in between 22 and 23 under Coogan administration, our taxes went up 14.7%. That was when he began from 2020. I read these numbers before, that our budget began to double. And listen, don't believe their BS. Believe what your eyes see. Does Fall River look better now than it did 6 years ago, except the beautiful $7 million lights down under the Volcara in the middle of all kinds of construction, sticking out like a blade of grass through a sidewalk? Listen, don't believe their BS. Has your life gotten any better while your taxes have doubled? And yeah, well, thank you, Betsy. You got to believe what you see, people. If Paul Coogan could have said, in my 6 years, I brought the per capita income in Fall River up from 31,000 or 28,000 up to 50,000, I'd say you're doing something right. If I brought the household income up, in spite of the fact that we're way the hell below the average, you've done something for the regular people in Fall River. You're killing retirees who are fundamentally a fixed income. They're going to get $420 a year for an increase, and then you raise their water bills and sewer bills, $800. So they're already 100% in the hole after their modicum of a pay increase. Look, it's hyperbole. One thing they're great at is trying to sell you. They're going to sell you a high rise in a Mojave Desert. That's what they're trying to sell you. All this stuff, and they can run all the articles they want to try to convince you. We said on our show 16 years ago, don't believe us. Do your own research, but don't believe them either.
That's right.
Go look up the per capita income in Fall River. Look up the per capita income in Newton. Look up the per capita income in Wellesley. Look up the per capita income in every other city except a city like Fall River. And we're down on the bottom with that cluster of cities, the gateway cities. Nice how they put that euphemistic name on them. Gateway City. Bridge to nowhere. The Braga Bridge. And this is the problem. Don't believe them. It can't. The places they're saying these people are going to come flocking down from, they're not going to make a stop in Fall River. You might say, wave at them on their way to Tennessee or Texas or Florida. You might wave
Newport.
or Newport or anybody. They can listen. These rents are not that low.
That's right.
Anymore. And even Paul Coogan, after he reversed his position that high rents were good, he said, well, we got Nantucket rents. Well, what's the per capita income in Nantucket? I'm not going to look it up. It's too late in the show. But I can tell you it's a hell of a lot bigger than here. And that's the thing.
Sure.
They're telling you to believe that if you had, just put yourself in that place. If you were making $165,000 a year or $250,000 a year, would you be worried about the rent in Fall River versus the rent in a community that's more like the community you left, more rural, more quiet, has a very good educational system, very low crime? You think the rents would be that much greater? No. The only problem is you have an absence of apartments because most of these guys
we've been asked before. I've made 2 attempts at runs for office. People don't want to come out and help. People don't care. People like the bullshit. People like to have the people that they have in office that give them a fucking chow mein sandwich.
Well, let me tell you something. I've been asked a zillion times too. And I'll tell you what, I considered it. But you know why I didn't do it? Because the people of Fall River showed they weren't interested in giving people that are like-minded and will help them the majority in the city council.
Right.
And I give all the credit in the world to Michelle Dion, Colin Dyers, Kevin Aguiar for the fight that they fight every day. But I'll tell you, I'm not wired that way. I could not go in there and bang my head against the wall and sit next to Brad Kilby without having the overwhelming urge to take him out and throttle him, because it's something that I could not do. I chose to run 14 times for president of the Firefighters Union, and I was elected 14 times. And I fought for the membership. I fought for the guys who didn't have to kiss the chief's ass to get a fair shake. I ran for the retirement board because the retirement system is a disaster, and I wanted to be on there as a voice for the people who work for the city of Fall River. And I have been fortunate enough to be reelected 3 times. I was appointed by the state as the PEC representative for the retirees' health care to fight for the retirees to get them decent health care. Those are the fights I chose to fight because I knew I could win those fights, or at least have some people supporting my positions. And I was fighting for people. I'm not a big advocate of shoveling shit against the tide. And if it's too, I'm probably, I wouldn't run now, but the people of Fall River have to prove to me that they're willing to elect at least 5 people in the city council who have got our best interest at heart. And
That's
until
right.
they get their lazy asses to the polls in November and bounce 5 of these clowns out in the street where they belong, I would never run for an office where I could not affect change.
Linda,
Because
Brad, Paul, Andrew, and Ricky Teeth. There you go. There's 5. Bye-bye.
and that's the problem, guys. And we love you because you pay attention. I wish the other 58,000 voters would pay attention too. And I hope, listen, every election I have that little glimmer of hope that we're going to see them come out like they did in '95. Remember that, CJ?
Yes, I do.
5 councilors out the door, and Linda Pereira was actually one of them.
That's right.
Yep, she was one of them. And so
the Portuguese Mafia.
That's it. The Portuguese Mafia all got bounced. And the thing is that every November I hope I'm going to see a repeat of 1995. But 1995 we still had a lot of school teachers, firefighters, police officers, city workers that lived in the city. But they all took their paychecks and moved out.
That's right.
And they're back here working, and they drive to the burbs now, and they can't vote. And in 95 and preceding 95, if you raise taxes,
you were gone.
You were toast. In an election year, you might as well pack your bags.
That's right.
Even in a non-election year, you'd be in a lot of trouble. But now, all those people who used to vote these people out are now going to Somerset and Swansea and wherever and putting their feet up and going, the hell with it. I don't care about the tax rate. I'm living over here. And listen, people, I guess we're getting close. We're over.
Over.
But I guess our message today has been call all your friends and tell them to show up in November, please. And we'll do everything possible to try to get some of these candidates on our show so they can speak directly to you and tell you exactly what they want to do. Because I don't know, we're well on our way to the November election, and I haven't heard a hell of a lot of any kind of campaigning from anybody. And with
the
that,
only thing I've heard so far is where I am on the ballot. I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Friday. Have a great day. And remember, it's going to rain.